Welcome back. Let's talk with royalty as far as girl-child education is concerned. We're being joined in the program by Olori Atuwatse III, wife of the Olori. She joins us via Zoom. Thank you so much for coming on the program, Olori.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I know you are, for lack of a better word, super passionate about girl-child education. And some people may have an idea of why, some may not. Maybe it's an opportunity for you to tell us, why are you very passionate about girl-child education?
First of all, pardon my voice, I have a little bit of a cold, but first of all, girl-child education, or should I just say women in general, are first my constituents. You can't have a passion for anything if you don't share their story. But also, I know that women empowerment and girl-child education is the smart thing to do. Girls will eventually become women, and we know that women empowerment is not just the right and just thing to do, but it's the smart thing to do, because when you empower a woman, you empower a community. And so I'm very, as a development advocate, I'm very passionate about girl-child education.
We're going to take it in layers from girl to women to mothers. We'll build those layers. But first, let's stay with the girl-child. In your books and where you sit, especially around this constituency you say is yours, what are the barriers you see? And what do you think the action has to be to really break it as quickly? My words, I'm trying to be as deliberate as possible, as quickly as possible.
There are a lot of barriers to the female gender, from things like education, or should I say a lack of quality education, to things like period poverty, especially for the girl child, especially in our communities in the Warri Kingdom, to social expectations. And so most of the girl children come from, poverty is already a barrier, but on top of that, or an added layer to that, would be the expectations of the girls because of social norms. And so a girl is more likely to be told, stay at home and help your mother to go to the market, as opposed to, fend for school or go to school. There's also a huge barrier with early teenage pregnancy. I'm a huge advocate for looking for how we can prevent that, but also to encourage women or girls in our area to come back to school or to learn skills that would better them, and to get educated. So, I mean, the barriers are quite enormous, but what we've seen, or what I've seen in the first line of engagement with women and girls in our community are some of these barriers: social norms, out of school education, and definitely period poverty, and definitely teenage pregnancies.
So you've talked about something quite fundamental. So in terms of the social decision opportunity cost, what is the world, and let's say Nigeria where we are, missing out on not giving women the kind of opportunity they deserve, especially to have a seat on the table? And I'm going to take those seats at different levels. Maybe let's talk about the social element and the corporate element. We've seen some success at the corporate spaces when you look at the banking industry. But in politics, the highest height a woman has ever attained is a speaker. I know how she was kicked out. Eventually, after that, it hasn't been any form of a success story. In fact, as we speak, we've never had a female governor elected. I'm not talking about somebody who was impeached and somebody came in, elected. So what are we missing out on not giving women at that level a seat on the table?
I know that naturally the approach for women in leadership, or the approach for female leadership, as I like to call it, is very different. Women are natural nurturers, and we are, and interestingly enough, I like to say there's something that they say that women are emotional, and emotions are seen as a bad thing, especially when it comes to leadership. But truly, I think women have the ability, we're not just emotional, but we have the ability to be emotionally intelligent. Emotions are not a bad thing when you have the intelligence to understand what they're saying and move in that direction. I think women as natural nurturers have a different style of leadership, which is necessary in the leadership space, in the political leadership space, the economic leadership space, corporate leadership space. We see that we are able to, and just by naturally being women, we're able to have better understanding or a broader scope in, being multifaceted. And so in that aspect, I think we're missing out by engaging women leaders. I think we're missing, or our failure to engage women leaders, we're missing out in our ability to build better. We've seen it across the corporate status. Mostly when banks want to, build up, they bring in women into their positions of leadership so that they can actually build. Women are natural builders, nurturers. And so I think we're missing that. Economically, I know that the IMF says that Nigeria alone will increase her GDP by 13% when we have, if we're able to close that gender gap. So it's a smart thing to do. We have to ensure that women in leadership are put in, especially elected positions of power. But I say this to anyone that cares to listen. It's not just about us electing the women. The women have to come up. The women have to ally each other to push this agenda. It's important that women are allying women to push the agenda of getting women in these positions of power, political power.
Looking through the trends, really, I see that there's a lack of general
development, and from there we then pair them up with access to finance, with small loans. We're currently working with Stanbic, IBTC Bank, to pair the women up with small loans through which they can grow their business. Okay. So that's one of the things that we're doing with girls, with the girl child, which is very
brilliant. My apologies. I know you have a lot to tell us, and I say I'm going to layer it. But we're trying to co-storm. We're going to come to, if we have more time, we're going to come to maybe the harder conversation, but let's talk on the soft side, soft side of the conversation. We know the king is a man of steez. We saw him on the scooter the other day. Literally, it was viral. That's the first time I was seeing king. He's very stylish, he's very modern. In fact, when he was inaugurated as a king, he used the prompter to read his speech. So the king is very modern and upwardly mobile in his outlook. But tell us, in spite of all of this, how easy or difficult, if you will, has it been being the wife of a king?
So we have a great relationship. I always say that he's first my husband before he's my king. And so we deal very intimately with each other. We're friends. And so I don't know if, and we're partners. So I don't know if I can say that it's been hard, touch wood. It's not been hard. Thankfully, we've been able to navigate quite easily, because our communication is brilliant. We've been able to navigate the complexities of the throne and this new position, thankfully. I think just communication and love and intimacy, really.
That's beautiful to hear. I know a lot of people would also love to see you maybe on a scooter or something similar. Perhaps you do that.
I have no balance, so I can't help you there. I can't even ride a bicycle.
In other climes, they have fairy tale queens. You were saying something.
I said I can't even ride a scooter because I don't have balance. I can't even ride a bike. Now that is one fact about me.
There you go.
All that is majesty.
That's okay. And I was going to point to the fact that, a lot of girls see you now, and all of a sudden there's that belief, there's that motivation. There's, beyond the fairy tale, they have Snow White to look at in other climes, but you are real, and they see a queen, an Olori that they want to be like. Just looking through tweets or posts on X about you, people saying, she's who she says she is. She's a real deal. And I must say, I don't know if you've considered it, that you're championing something great. The way you're using your position, your voice, it's quite interesting to see. So to girls out there who probably see you every day and they're like, is she real? Can I be like her in their own little or big corner, as the case may be? What is that one thing you'd always want to tell them?
Wow. I think that would be, don't be afraid to own your space, to own your voice. It's still very humbling, and I say it with all humility. It's still very humbling to think or to even be perceived as somebody to look up to, a role model. And I take it with huge responsibility. Actually, I don't take it lightly to know that in the space that I'm in, there are people and young girls that are looking up to me. I don't take that very lightly. But if there's one thing that I have to say to them, it would be to not be afraid to own who they are. I think as girls, as women, especially very early on, we unfortunately or fortunately have people write our scripts for us. As girls, you're told, don't do this. You're going to be somebody's wife. Don't, shine too much. You're going to be, you'll be looked at as too strong. You'll be looked at as too outspoken. Smile and don't ruffle too many feathers because you don't want to be a certain way. And before you know it, its internal biases start coming up, and fear takes over. I think for little girls, and I tell this to my daughter, and I would say to all girls actually, don't be afraid to be who you are. Appreciate and love yourself for who you are with all your mistakes. You don't have to get it right. Just know that eventually, somehow, as long as you stay true to who you are, to your authentic self, the lines will fall in pleasant places and you will become who you are destined to be. Stay true to yourself. I think that is what I would say.
All right, Olori, winding down, maybe you give us a royal hack as to, sorry, I cover politics, so I'm always interested in leadership. And I have a vote waiting for that qualified woman who wants to run for president. So that's a vote in waiting. I can promise that, at least for myself. So is there a royal hack to help women break through 3 political parties to someday, maybe in the nearest future, become flag bearers that will give them a chance to be leaders at that level? APC, PDP, maybe Labour Party and any other party. In your thinking, in your imagination, is there a royal hack somewhere that can be used? Because it looks like it's rigged against them already.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a royal hack, but this is what I would say. And I say it quite often to women that I have conversations with. I think as women, like I say, fear is one of the most crippling things. And sometimes as women, because we see, especially in a place like politics, in a sphere like politics, that can be very aggressive, we feel the need to match that energy and be as aggressive as our male counterparts. And I think that if we can hack the strength of femininity, of actually leading with influence, coming with our soft side, it would actually do us a lot more good than harm. I think it's important that women, as much as possible, try to engage their feminine side. It's not a wrong thing. And I know that I'm ruffling a lot of feathers for women who have had to fight for their positions. But I think it's important that we embrace the soft side of being a woman, because there is something there. There's a huge potential, huge power, actually great power in expressing ourselves as feminine women across all stratas. So I'm not a politician, so I can't give you political hacks, but this is what I can.
We'll excuse you now, but we thank you for your insight and your excerpts as well on this particular issue. Olori Atuwatse III, the wife of the Olori. Brilliant. Thank you so much, madam, for coming on the program. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get to the very last leg of the conversation. Join us in just a moment.